Hey y'all, Crystal here from ChristaCoDesign. This week I wanted to talk about how to add a border to corner crochet. And I've done a video on how to add a border to a regular blanket. And the same principles apply to corner, but we have these chain threes that we use to make each square. And when you have them on the edges, they kind of hang out and they stand out because of the style of this blanket. So I just wanted to go over some tips for working into corner for the first row specifically, because the first round where you go around it, that is what's going to help you get it set. And then from there, it's going to be a normal type border. So we'll just start with a slip knot. This is where I finished and joined my last square. So you can join to start in any stitch or corner, and I'll just start in this first corner after the join that has a chain three. And I'm going to do my little faux slip stitch single crochet join that I do. So I have a slip knot and I insert my hook and I yarn over and I pull up a loop. Now if you look, I have two loops. One of them is my slip knot, but I'm going to use it like a single crochet loop. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through both of those. So I have eliminated an extra stitch there, and you crochet under that like normal. Anyway, so that's just a bonus tip for you. Okay, so I crochet relatively loose, and if you crochet tighter, you might need more stitches, and that's okay. So this is a chain three, which stands for a double crochet, but I'm only going to put 2 single crochets here in this, mostly because as we go around and add borders to our blankets, our crochet tends to loosen up and it tends to get wavy and curly. And that way I don't overdo it, because when I have these blocks where I have actual double crochets, I'm going to need to put 1 stitch per. So pretty much for every 2 blocks, I'm going to try to work 5 stitches. Now this is a decrease edge, which I know because I have these slip stitches in the front here, and that's the top of the regular stitch that those were worked into, which I know because I can feel it's a little bit thicker and bulkier, and see how they're more on the front instead of the top than the regular ones. So with those, you'll have to kind of work into your stitch, your slip stitch, which are generally tighter. It'll be a little bit more trouble. But again, this is one reason why it's a good idea to start with a single crochet border in the same color if you can. So I have 2 single crochets, and now I'm going to place 1 single crochet per double crochet stitch, which is actually these slip stitches here because of our decrease style. And that is something that is specific to corner also, is you'll have a really inconsistent edge for that first round for your border because of chain threes, slip stitches, regular ones. Okay, so now we're back to a chain 3. I'm just going to place 2. Again, if you feel you need 3 single crochets, place 3 single crochets. It's not a big deal. And you can even do it intermittently, switch out to like put 3 here, put 2 there, that sort of thing. Okay, now we're back to a decrease in that has slip stitches. So they're a little bit tighter. One of them is a turning chain on top of that, so it's not as clear. But here I'm at the corner, so I don't want to shortchange the corner because I want to keep it nice and sharp. So I have to make sure I put that single crochet there. And in my other blanket border tutorial, I talked about being consistent, making sure you're always putting them in the same spot, and that really helps keep your borders even. And that's again another reason why adding the single crochet round first in the similar color is recommended. Now you can see from our chain threes we have a little gap there, but it just mirrors the rest of them throughout, so it's not a big deal. I do feel, however, that if I put a 3rd single crochet there, I will pull it too much, it'll be wavy. But your tension may be different than mine, and you may need to add a 3rd one. All right, so for corners, we're always going to make a total of 3 stitches, or minimum. So I'm going to chain 1, and then in that same stitch, I'm going to go back in and place another single crochet. So that gives me a corner, and it also gives me a place to work my next round. If I'm going to do a round of double crochets or something different, I would work 3 stitches here in that corner as well. Okay, so now we're into the side of a double crochet stitch. This to me is where you need to work consistently in the same spaces for these 2 blocks, and of course if you're doing a blanket you'll have a lot more. So whatever you work out on your first one, try to do the same thing in your next one. So I'm going to insert my hook here in this spot and go through. I always try to get 2 loops so I don't pull it up too stretchy, and make a single crochet there. And then I'm going to place my second one here under those 2 loops of the double crochet, and then I'm done there on the corner. Okay, so I'm skipping this gap, and here we're on the bottom of a block, of the wrong side of a corner to corner block. And so I have an easy to, this is our chain row, our starting row. So I worked into the back bump, which gave me a a nice stitch looking spot to work into, because there's 2 loops instead of 1, because I used the 1 on that side. So I'm just going to place 1 single crochet per double crochet here. Again, sometimes your stitches look crazier than normal because of the turning and the joining, so that's okay. I'm going to have that get pulled up to there. It'll be fine. Then we're back to this block, which is a double crochet. So I went into this spot on the first one. I go into that spot again, and that spot again. Oops, split my yarn here. Okay, so I have my corner, which is, extra stitches. We did single, chain, single. Then I put 2 stitches in the side of a double crochet, 3 stitches into the bottom of these 3 double crochets, 2 stitches into the side. So even though I don't have the chain 3s like this edge, I'm getting the same stitch count, so it's working out to be nice and neat and even. Now here we have the bottom. Again, this is our starting chain row, so we're working to the bottom of the chains, and I started by working into the back bump, so I only worked under 1 loop. So I have 2 nice stitch looking loops to work under here, which is really helpful when you're doing borders because of so many of the inconsistencies in this one. So we're just going to place our 3 single crochets under these loops, and that gives us enough to get to another corner. So since we're at another corner, we're going to need to add a chain and a single crochet back into the same stitch. So I'm going to do that now. It doesn't really matter if it's on this side or that side, but this is the corner. It looks like the corner to me, so that's why I'm doing it here. You could also turn and do it there, but I think this looks more accurate, and it probably depends on your pattern more than anything, or your preference. Okay, so now we are in the side of a double crochet here, and we're looking at the back of a double crochet instead of the front, like we were on the other side here. So again, it's looking a little different, so we're going to have to pick where we put our hook and be consistent on this edge in a different way. And work over your yarn tail to minimize weaving those ends in. I'm going into a spot where I can consistently place my hook, where there isn't a lot of gap, and where I can get under 2 loops so as not to pull it too far out. That brings us to a right side facing block of double crochets, so easy peasy, just single crochet under the top of those. Again, a lot of your first and last stitches may look funny because of the turning and chaining when you join. as opposed to just a regular straight row of double crochets anyway. Okay, and then we're here. This block is similar to this one where we're looking at the back of a double crochet block. This is where I placed my hook for the first one. I have 2 loops there. Go ahead and work over that. And then I'm going to place a second single crochet, single crochet in this double in the same spot here. Basically, it's in the bottom section of the double crochet in the top section. So again, we have a corner with our extra stitch, then we have 2 stitches in the side of our double crochet, 1 stitch into the bottom of each double crochet, 2 stitches into the side of our double crochet here. We're approaching another corner with a chain 3 turning chain spot. Let's see. So this is again the bottom of a double crochet. Yes. And here we have some extra interesting yarn pieces because it is a turning chain that pulled across and over because of the style of this blanket. So we're just placing 3 regular single crochets in the bottom of these double crochets. So again, this is where you can do your corner here, or you can do it there. On this one, I'm going to do it under the chain 3. And so I'm just going to put my single crochet, my chain 1, and my second single crochet. But that means I'm only going to place 1 more single crochet over here so as not to overdo it on this side. Okay, if you would rather work your corner into this stitch, that works for you, that's fine. And then you place 2 single crochets here. All right, so on this row, this edge, which I believe is our last border edge, again, we are back to wrong side double crochets, but we have slip stitches across the top. So tops and slips, or I think that's actually the top of the double crochet and that's the slip stitch. But either way, it makes for a little bit bulkier edge there. And so you might have to work a little bit harder to get it. And I just make sure, like all the others, to go under 2 loops. There you go. And place 1 single crochet per double crochet stitch. And then we are on to a side. Oh, that's a chain 3. So we're just going to place 2 single crochets in that chain 3. Oh, and here's my join. I didn't actually complete that join. I need to weave that in so it doesn't come apart. And then we're going into the top of these double crochets. I'm going to go over my tail here. Trap that. Number 2. And then number 3. Oops. Just go ahead and get that. Okay, so this brings me to my last corner. My first stitch is over here. If you remember, I made that. Look how much neater that edge looks already. All right, so there's my last stitch. Now here is my little first single crochet that was actually the top of my slip knot, so I don't have any extra bulk there, which is really nice because of the need to do a corner stitch here. So I don't have an additional slip stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet back into that same stitch. And then I'm going to join to the top of my first stitch. Do that with the slip stitch. And just pull that through, cut your yarn, and weave in those ends. If you're working on corner to corner, it is likely you have a lot of ends to weave in because of all those color changes. So I'll weave those in, and that is it. If you're going around in the same color for double crochet edge or another border pattern that's specific to the pattern you're working on, then you would just follow those instructions. But I just wanted to go over how to get that first single crochet edge around, since each one of these edges is inconsistent and a little bit different than a regular blanket where you have just like two types of edges there. So I hope you found that was helpful. If you did, I'd love for you to like and subscribe. Thanks.